Lois, episode 12, Through the Valley of Death. So, in our last episode, Lois ran to the phone and called John Henry Irons and was like, John, it's happening, everything. I don't know why that's funny to me. And, you know, it showed John, like the moment, it showed us on the last episode her making the call. So in this episode, it showed us when he received the call. He went to a city. We don't know what the city was, but there he was. I don't want to use the word stalking, but he was trying to locate somebody. On his Earth, he had a sister, and on this particular Earth, he located his sister's doppelganger. So, you know, I guess I don't know what he was planning, because as far as his sister is concerned, her brother's dead. So I don't know if he was going to go up to her and just pretend to be him. I don't know if he was going to tell her the truth, because his whole thing now is he's stuck on this Earth and he needs family. Like, he's trying to find like family, people he can believe in, people he can confide in. And I still, me personally, I still think his daughter is here too. So his daughter, matter of fact, his daughter is probably living with the aunt, you know, like with the aunt. So, but that'd be a nice reveal if it actually happens. So before he got a chance to engage with his doppelganger sister, that's when Lois gave him the call, and then, you know, he ended up answering that specific call because he knows the threat that we're up against with the whole Superman turn thing. So he goes down to the, you know, to the military. They're talking to the general, and then both the general and Lois, like they're, you know, and John, they're talking about ways that, you know, they're just like, oh, Superman turned, and then they're like, are you sure? And they're just like, yeah, he turned, so we got to come up with something. So John comes up with an idea. He says that on his Earth, when he fought Superman in the final battle, he created a missile, a bullet, if you will. The bullet, it's supposed to weaken Kryptonian powers long enough for you to be able to kill him. So the general is just like, all right, well, let's go ahead and make the weapon. And then Lois is like, bro, really? She's like, we're not even going to try to like reach out to him and try to fix him. And then the general was just like, oh, you know, this is Superman, you know, we got to protect ourselves at any cost. And then even John said, he was just like, he told Lois, he said, listen, Superman wanted you to call me. Like, he told you to call me, because Lois had said, she was like, oh, you know, Superman reached out to me, like he gave me a signal, you know, to call you. And he was like, yeah, he wanted you to call me because he knows I'm gonna put his ass down, and I'm gonna, you know, like, and I'm gonna end this before it gets out of control. But then she's like, no, you could still save him. And they're just like, well, listen, he said we should still make the bullet as like a last case scenario. So they contacted Arg, you know, because then John told him, he was just like, I just need some. He said here's the schematics for it, you know, because the general was like, are you sure this thing will work? And he's like, yeah, it'll work. I just need somebody to build it. So he calls Argus. He calls Lila from Argus, and Argus built the bullet for him. And when we went to go, and then when Lois found out that they made the bullet, you know, she went to go see, you know, like to go check it out. And when she shows up on the military base, you know, for the person that dropped off the bullet to the general and the John Henry Irons, it ended up being Diggle. So Diggle completed his DC TV. Like, we basically got a month of Diggle. We got 4 weeks of Diggle on Batwoman, you know, on Legends, on last week he was on The Flash, and now he's on Superman and Lois. And I like that. I like having him spread, you know, like having him spread out through the whole thing. So he sees Lois Lane. So for anybody that thought Superman and Lois took place on a different Earth than the rest of the Arrowverse shows, it does not. John Diggle is, you know, he's here, and he was like, you know, obviously Lois recognized him. The two of them hugged, and then she was like, you know, why are you here? And then he told her, he was like, I'm just here dropping off some tech. And then when they found out what the tech was, both Diggle and Lois went and cursed out the general and cursed out Irons, because they were just like, yo, he was like, you didn't tell me that the magic bullet that you wanted to make was a device that could kill Superman. And then, you know, Diggle even told the general, he was just like, Superman, he's like, he's freaking Superman, you know. He's like, he's the best that we got. And then he name dropped. He was just like, you know, Oliver would have said the same thing. He said, hell, all the heroes would have said the same thing. And then, you know, then John Henry Irons stepped in, and he was just like, oh, you don't know what we're up against. We can't let this Superman do to your world what he did to mine. And then Diggle was like, bro, you're from another Earth. And I was just like, yeah, he kind of, you know. So then Diggle told the general, he was just like, doppelgangers, multiverses, glowing green boxes. He was like, I thought I left all this shit behind, you know. And then the general was just like, look, we have to do what we got to do. But then Diggle was just like, yo, he's like, you and I are gonna have a conversation when all this is over. Diggle ended up talking to John Irons one-on-one, and he was just like, you know, I hope you know what you're doing, because he was like, killing Superman, that's not the right play, like that's the wrong move. Jonathan, you know, like Jonathan Kent, he went to go talk to John Henry Irons, and he was just like, listen, he's like, I heard about what happened to your daughter. I heard about what happened to your planet. I saw my mom get killed in the videos that you had. But he was like, you look like you were a good dad. You seem like you were a really good dad. But if you kill Superman, you're also killing a good dad too. And then, you know, he was just like, but there's no other way, son. And he was just like, you know, there's always a different way. You just got to find it. And then finally Lois herself, she went and talked to him because Lois basically put like the trump card out. Yeah, she put like the last attempt ditch effort, and then she told Irons flat out, she said that the reason why this Superman is different, the reason why he's different from the Superman on your Earth, is because on this Earth he and I are married. Those, like the two boys that you saw, those are our kids. He has a family here, like he has a life here, and he's not gonna give that up. Like he won't turn. All he got from that, like all John got from that, all Irons got from that whole conversation was, Clark Kent is Superman. It's just like the look on his face. He was just like, that mumbled mouth, nerdy. Like he's like, Clark Kent is Superman. Shit. And then, but he was just like, that doesn't change anything. He was like, I still gotta do what I gotta do. He's like, I gotta put him down. He's like, I won't hesitate. And then she's like, John, I'm begging you. He's like, I'm gonna put him down, Lois. And I feel like part of me feels like there's like 5% of him that just felt like, hey, if I take Superman out of the picture, maybe I can get Lois back. But I mean, he's smart enough not to fall for that. But anyway, we then get Superman who's struggling, because he's trying to be turned by Morgan Edge and by Morgan Edge's daddy. And with all the Kryptonian powers, because we saw that Clark's mom got infused into Lana, and then we saw other Kryptonians who got infused into other people. The Kryptonian person that they chose to put inside Clark was General Zod, and I was like, well, shit. Like that. Talk about a callback. So Zod is trying to take over Clark. Clark's trying to fight it. Like he's trying to fight it. And then Jonathan and Jordan, because they're trying to find him because they don't know where he is. They know he's in the desert somewhere, but they don't know where. So Jonathan told Jordan, he was like, use your super hearing to see if you can locate him. Superman, while he's trying to fight General Zod from taking over, he runs out into the desert. He screams for for Jordan, and he's just like, oh, I'm in the dry lands, or I'm in the wetlands, or whatever he was. And then Jonathan and Jordan, they went and told the general. They're just like, oh, we know where he is. And then they're just like, all right, let's get the weapon prepped and let's go take him out. At that point, Zod kind of already took over. So when John Henry Irons showed up to confront Superman, who's now General Zod, he had the steel costume on, he had the hammer. The two of them and we never saw Diggle again after that too, which was weird. The two of them got into it. They got into their fight. And during the fight, the general was just like, use the bullet. And then Lois was like, don't use it. You can get through to him. And then there was a moment where Superman kind of like fought it off. And then, Lois, at that moment, Lois was just like, oh, he's still in there. You can get through to him. And then Superman said to Irons, he was like, yo, you got to do it. He was like, do it. He's like, you got to kill me. You got to save everybody. And then at that point, looking at him not be a monster, looking at him be like like a compassionate human being, looking at Superman telling him, you gotta kill me because it's the right thing to do. Iron's whole thing was, well, shit, now that you want me to do it, it's like, this isn't fun anymore. And then he put the hammer away, and then he was just like, yo, you gotta fight, bro. He was like, yo, you got a family, you got kids, your wife is waiting for your kids. He was just like, he said, I lost my entire world. I lost my wife, I lost my daughter, I lost my friends, I lost my family. He said, the pain that you're feeling right now ain't jack compared to what I had to go through. So I'm gonna need you to suck it up, and I'm gonna need you to fight this pain, and I'm gonna need you to, I'm gonna need you to get it in the gear here, brother. And then, after that, then Superman, he thought about his family, he thought about Lois when they got married and everything, and then all the flashbacks started happening, and then, he was able to break free. He was able to break free of the power. He broke free of, of the control. And then Morgan Edge was talking to his dad, and he was like, hey, we've lost him. And then his dad was like, what, we've lost Kal-El? He was like, no, we've lost General Zod. And then we kind of get him back. And then his dad was like, that's because you're soft and you're weak and you're a fool. And he was like, you have one last chance to save Krypton, otherwise you are a failure, boy. And then he was just like, all right, father. He was like, I'll make you proud. And then he took off and he flew off into the sky. Then after that, Superman and Steel ended up going after Morgan Edge. They chased him off into outer space. And then Morgan Edge had that chrysalis thing that was turning people into Kryptonians, and he was superheating it, I guess trying to blow it up, because if he blows it up, it'll just disperse like Kryptonian consciousness into people. I don't know what he was trying to do, to be honest with you. Steel ended up going off into the atmosphere. He fired the bullet. The bullet never actually hit Morgan Edge. It was almost like the bullet got like right here, and then at that moment, Morgan Edge blew up the device, which the explosion triggered the bullet to explode, so that whole thing went up in a big cloud of smoke. And then Morgan Edge, I guess it did work, because Morgan Edge crash landed on the floor, and he was weakened, he couldn't get up, and then Superman showed up, and he was like, I'll bury your bones in this world, Kal-El, and then Superman punched him in the face. Like, they locked up Morgan Edge, and now he's in DOD custody or whatever, and they said he'll never harm anybody again. But then like in the final credit scene, they showed him in his cell, and then while he was in his cell, a voice spoke to him, and so he has some plan. And plus, that girl that he's been hanging out with, like his assistant, like she's still out there, so she probably gonna break him out of prison, and then they gotta like whatever he had planned, like it's not over obviously, and Morgan Edge is gonna be back. He's probably gonna break out of the prison at the end of the episode, but like I said, we'll see. Then after that, then Irons and Superman and the family, like they hugged and shook hands, acknowledged each other, and then I guess like Irons left to go find his sister finally, to go see if his daughter exists on this earth, and then the family went to go have family time, and everything was all nice and it was lovely and it was beautiful. Like Lana and the gang, they were actually being ridiculed throughout this entire episode by the townspeople, because everybody was just like upset, because they were like, oh, we trusted you, you backed Morgan Edge, and Morgan Edge shitted on all of us, and they made us do horrible things. And I'm like, first of all, especially the Asian girl, because the Asian woman, she was just like, oh, I trusted you and the things I did to people. And I'm like, weren't you not the one who went to Lois and literally begged her to get you a job? That had nothing to do with Lana's husband. That had nothing to do with Lana. That was your dumb ass. And you, like, she got some nerve. Like she actually has some nerve. Saying the townspeople, like, they turned on them, but they came together as a family, and they're just like, oh, we're gonna get through it no matter what. And eventually the townspeople, will calm down. So that was it. And thank you for tuning in. I guess we're getting more episodes because this was episode 12, and nobody said anything about next week being like the season finale. So, Batwoman got 18, Flash got 18. So, I mean, Lord knows how many legends get. Black Lightning only got 13, but I guess maybe we're going to get 18 as well for Superman and Lois. So there's more story to be told here with the Kent family. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how this whole thing unfolds, because now that Morgan Edge is locked up, I'm like, what else are we going to do? But he's not going to be in prison for long. So like I said, that's cool. Hopefully Diggle shows up with the ring at some point, but that's just wishful thinking. So thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode of Superman and Lois. Let me know what you think's going to happen going forward with the plot, about the whole thing with General Zod, about Diggle popping up, and they said we'll have a conversation and we'll continue to talk about it. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Up, and away as always. Until next time, for the Man of Steel, for Steel, for Smallville, I'm out this.